back to even the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King and his work. Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall did not agree with the work that Martin Luther King were doing. They were on diametrically opposed positions, both working really towards the same goal, but very diametrically opposed positions. Beyond that, you had whole denominations, like in the North, that actually came against the work that the Southern Coalition, the Southern Conference of the SCLC, what they were trying to do. And so on one level, I don't think we can ever expect African American, unanimity. I like to phrase it really more as the kaleidoscopic brilliance of who we are as a people. So there's that. But the other piece of it is going back to like corporate strategy and something. And I don't want to be conspiratorial, but Patrice said something earlier about that made me think this controversy, it sells. It sells. And doing these kinds of things cuts through the clutter of the media, the social media in particular. It gets viral. We're talking about it now. This is a level of engagement with the brand that is because it's operating. It's sitting in our heads, and we're thinking about it. So it's sitting there, and so we'll eventually we'll forgive Gucci and we'll go back and folks had to talk about Gucci. Do I have my Gucci and all this other kind of stuff. So on one level, we might have just got played again.
We might have, because I wonder how much money, how much more they've done in sales. Yeah. Because on the flip side, like you said, in terms of they're clever, so we weren't buying it. But then the people who may be racist might be like, well, you know what? I'm going to go out and buy some Gucci and support it now because...
Yeah.
So it's like you put Kaepernick on. I think everybody ran to the store. We did the same thing.
We also did it during Black History Month.
Yeah.
Strategic.
Yeah.
But you know what else? Adidas actually had an all-white Adidas shoe during Black History. Actually, it was their Black History shoe. It was an all-white Adidas shoe for Black History Month. We didn't hear about that, did we?
No,
we didn't hear about that. And that's what I'm saying. But see, and I want to go back to Floyd Mayweather because just to put it in full context, so he wasn't, and I'm in no means, supporting Floyd Mayweather. But he did have some points, some valid points in his argument. He wasn't saying, well, I'm going to wear Gucci regardless. What he was saying was boycott 3 months. Why not forever?
Right.
And he was saying that these rappers were using their platform to become relevant again, or using that situation to become relevant again. And he was saying, well, okay, so you're boycotting Gucci, but what about your lyrics in your music? That's causing even more destruction in our community. So, and also he was supporting Dapper Dan because he had posted some pictures of, back in the day when he was supporting him before Gucci, shut him down. And he was saying that, where were y'all then? When now that Gucci put Dapper Dan back in the business, now you support Dapper Dan, who was a black designer and a black entrepreneur. So he did have some valid points. I'm not sure if he was coming from the standpoint of supporting Dapper Dan, but he also had a good point. Okay, so if we're going to be outraged, let's not have fake outrage over this. Let's be outraged over other things that are even more destructive. Because at the end of the day, that $869, that's how much that sweater costs. $869. And it was ugly. Yeah. It was actually a whole bodysuit type thing. They went a jumper that went up to your mouth. No, who would do that? So this outrage over this one piece of article in clothing, that is, I'm more outraged if it was a black designer that did it versus Gucci, because I expect Gucci to do it. So where are we going to place our outrage? So I get his point. Place it where it belongs and where we can actually make better change, because Gucci's going to be Gucci, but we're the ones who need to be changed, not Gucci.
I think that goes back to accountability too.
Right.
We keep wanting accountability, but we're not owning
Right.
up to anything.
I've never been a believer of going where I don't belong. If I don't belong there, if you don't want me there, boycotting,
That's why we're
boycott
not
what?
going to Kilroy's.
You know
For all
what I'm
y'all
saying?
Kilroy's
Sit
people.
in
I will
for
not go to
what?
Kilroy's.
If you don't want me there, I won't be there, or I'm gonna start my own.
Right.
That's how we need to start thinking.
And that leads me to the next question. So, what are the alternatives to buying those big brands? Because, as you said, like our Carl Kanais, our Fubu, all of them have been bought out. You know, For Us By Us is no longer For Us By Us. So, what are the alternatives to buying the Gucci, the Prada?
So I want to just go back to what I mentioned earlier. So we had our brands, and somebody ended up buying our brands,
Right.
and now they're benefiting off of our brands. Now, if we were to execute the same strategy that was executed on our brands, we would buy Gucci, and then not the clothes, the stock.
Buy Gucci stock.
Buy the stock, and then you own the company, and then it's yours. It is your brand because you own the company. So when Nike did its thing, I did not buy my. I did. I bought my son some Nike shoes. I did, and I bought a T-shirt. But I also made it a point to buy Nike stock because I liked what they were doing. When really rich people don't like what a company's doing, they purchase the company. That's what they do. Yeah. Now, I don't know if we have to. I don't know if Gucci's. Some company probably owns Gucci, and you'd have to just try to do the research to figure out who actually owns the brand or whatever. But that is an alternative strategy that is available to us on a Robinhood app. It's free. Maybe it charges you $1 or something. You could put $20, come out your weekly income or discretionary income, buy stock. I've been investing in month dividend stocks because I just that's just my strategy. But Acorn is another app that you can use where you can do something similar. But we have to start investing in, as kind of like what was talked about earlier, in assets that make us money as opposed to giving our money away.
You know what proves that we can actually do it? We
Yeah.
bought Bitcoin like hotcakes.
Yeah.
Bought Bitcoin like hotcakes. I mean, it was a cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency.
And I just saw something, I think yesterday, that said it's crashing and burning. But we bought, folks that weren't even thinking about investing bought Bitcoin. Go ahead.
Can I say something with that? So last year, J.P. Morgan Chase put out a memo saying that, and I think Goldman Sachs did as well, saying that cryptocurrency was a scam. And then earlier this year, J.P. Morgan Chase, they released their own cryptocurrency. So it's kind of like, just having that strategy, they use fear tactics to get people that had it to get it off of it, and they want to keep it all at home. Like wealthy people believe what they have is genetic, and they want to keep everything in house. When we know as a collective, as Black people, we're geniuses as well. More, and they came from us.
I was about to say, we the original genius.
We have to use the expert. We have to use the wisdom that God gave us and really get back to those ways. Like we have to stop being manipulated negatively by their antics. That's really and just to go back with the question, what is something we can do? Has everybody in the room heard of WeBuyBlack.com?
I haven't.
Yeah, so WeBuyBlack.com.
We bought black.
We buy black.
We buy black.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I've
Yes.
heard.
We buy black. And Brother Sharif, he created that platform where every product that's on that website is made from a Black person. He wants that to be like the Black Amazon. That's his vision with that. And just get into support for that. Like they hosted a conference last November in Atlanta, I believe. And just having that platform, it's going to take more than just one WeBuyBlack.com to get this message out as a collective, but that's a start. That's a solution-based start to where we need to go as a people.
Patrice, what do you think are some alternatives to buying the big brands?
I think it starts with our children and recognizing that marketing and media is distorting our thought. And so not falling into that with our children from 0 to 16. And don't buy them the name brand things all the time. Don't focus on.
So how do they do? Because you know they're gonna get teased in school. Well, you wearing Payless shoes? What Payless is getting?
But again, that right, it's character. The same way our grandparents did when we had generic
But
clothes.
that was the
You
thing.
be all right.
We go home
Cash
crying
Market
because we
Center.
got teased. You know that we wearing Payless. And
But
not
are we
wearing-
okay now?
There's a name.
No,
Are we okay?
But we
Okay.
dealing with a different breed of kids now.
But
A different
we just need,
generation.
I think we just need to character build, and we need to wrap ourselves around them, and not just one family, but we all need to act like that, and our entire network needs to be that way. So if my children are doing it, my best friends' kids should be doing it too, so they know they have a support system alongside of them. And then as long as we start taking that away from them, that sense of urgency around materialistic stuff, then when they get to the point of making power changes, then they will be able to do it. But
One of the things I do with my son is I talk to him about financial decisions. We go to the store, we go to the toy store, and he'll say, "Oh, I want something." I was like, "Well, what have you done to earn it first?"
Right.
And I don't always do that to him because I love him, and sometimes I just want to give him something. So, but I'll give him a budget, and he'll walk, and he has to look at the prices. He has to make decisions. And what I almost always do is once he decides on something, I'll say, "All right, son, if you wait a week, I'll buy you 2 of those, or I'll buy you, something better." And I have him process that so that he can learn both like delayed gratification, the value of dollars, how prices work, things of that nature. And so I think not only talking about not worrying about brands and not trying to wear your money. But also just talking about the value of money. The other piece of it is he has a savings thing. He has like a piggy bank, and he also has a savings account. And I also show him the stocks that I have, and I tell him, "Son, I'm buying these stocks for you," and we talk about that. And so I think having these conversations with your children and young people is another thing that we should be doing.
James?
So I give my kids $200 at the store,
Yeah.
$350 because my son's
Yeah.
grown man. And I tell them, you got to figure out what you're gonna, what shoes you're gonna pick with this money, and I'm not going over that amount.
Yeah.
So he has to figure out how to negotiate what he needs and what his sister needs within this amount of money. So then it takes away from that urgency to get the brand new shoes that cost $300, but he has to get something that he likes, she likes, and they still, can do it underneath that budget. And that's simple. I mean, it's still name brand stuff, but it's an opportunity for them to know that you don't have to go and buy the first thing coming. You can get just as fashionable and own it with just, with less than what you usually will see.
James?
I was going to say definitely that teaching of the younger generation, making sure that they understand what they're actually doing whenever they go into the stores. What are you actually buying? Remember what you're buying is also how you're going to label yourself out there. So that's one of the things. And then my other thing is it would be really amazing if we were able to get where, if you really want to bring up some of the points we brought up, just some of the rappers or something to actually promote some of those black brands, to actually say some of those names that we've never heard of, and actually put out those names and say, hey, put it in their songs. So people are like, oh, what is that? Hey, I got this song, start talking about it in our black communities as well. What would also be really cool is if we actually knew, let's say for instance, we go into a Walmart, we say, okay, who's the designer for that? If we actually knew who was actually the person that designed that, so we can know this is a black owner. How do we promote that black owner and keep going for that black owner? That'll be really cool.
Yeah, I want to do a slightly different little twist here because as I think about, I love the ideal of we buy black and really promoting more black designers. In the meantime, when you think about Prada and all the name brands, there are also non-name brands out here that we really don't know if they're racist as well.
That's true.
We don't know that. They just may not have been caught yet. So really the thing is not so much about the brand, it's more about educating ourselves, our children, about where we put our dollars. Because I gotta wear clothes,
Right.
I gotta wear shoes, and I just don't know the mentality of those designers. I mean, they may be racist, they may be. So I really can't ban everything I have to then take control and control my own narrative about how I'm going to build wealth and how I'm going to teach my children. And so clothes and shoes are just, it's a necessity. But our mindset is more about educating and really looking at it from a different perspective, because there's just too many things that we just cannot control. So I wanted to throw that out there as a little
good.
twist.
That's good. And that kind of leads into our next question. And, we talk about how do we support minorities that have those brands. We talk about, well, you can have the artists do it, but I want to talk about from just